Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be discussing the Spanish science fiction film Realive. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. A successful artist, upon discovering his impending death, chooses to enter cryostasis. 7 decades later, he emerges in an entirely unfamiliar world, unassured by uncertainty about his own being. In the year 2084, nurse Elizabeth Mansfra achieves her long-awaited acceptance into Prodigy Health Corporation, an advanced medical facility, where she becomes one of the assistants to the brilliant doctor, Victor West. Brimming with excitement, Elizabeth enters the facility accompanied by her secretary. Along the way, they encounter a holographic projection of Dr. West, who shares his grand aspiration of achieving immortality through a groundbreaking program capable of regenerating 65% of human organisms. The secretary promptly reminds Elizabeth of her strict confidentiality obligations concerning the project. Upon entering the laboratory, Elizabeth is at last introduced to the freaky Dr. West. The doctor gives the nurse a tour of the huge facility and presents their ambitious project called Lazarus. After 4 years of research, the doctors have reached the highest point of reviving their test subject completely. Dr. West displays a hologram of Lazarus's body design, deciding what to keep and what to modify with bionic parts. The group assigns Elizabeth the task of getting to know the test subject within 4 weeks before the operation, as she will be responsible for taking care of him. The nurse requests Lazarus's true identity. Marc Jarvis, driving his car in deep thought, recalls his childhood moments of playing in the driveway and seeking comfort in his parents' embrace. He ponders why time appeared to pass slowly during his youth, but seems to speed up as an adult. Parking his car, Marc sits in a daze, holding the diagnostic test result before heading to the hospital. During the doctor's visit, the physician delivers the grim news to Marc, revealing his diagnosis of throat cancer and informing him that he has only 1 year left to live. Overwhelmed with devastation, Marc's face reflects his confusion as he questions why he has been afflicted with this illness, despite never having smoked throughout his entire life. Despite the doctor's attempt to console him with treatment options like chemotherapy to slow the cancer's progression, Marc declines and requests more time to consider his decision. Aware of his limited time, he arranges for his unfinished projects to be taken over by his employees. Sharing the news with his close friends and colleagues evokes a range of reactions, including shock, confusion, and sadness. In a heart-wrenching moment, the dying man confronts his mother to reveal the painful truth that she will outlive him. Overwhelmed by fear and anguish, Marc experiences a breakdown, discarding all his possessions before finding himself lost in the desolation of the night. Fortunately, Naomi comes across Marc as he wanders aimlessly, offering solace through a loving embrace. Later, as they lie in bed together, Marc selflessly urges Naomi to move forward and rekindle her relationship with her ex-lover, Steve. Refusing to abandon him, she stands by Marc's side, determined to face the challenging times together. After a few days, during a dinner with friends, Marc reveals his contemplation of undergoing cryostasis, inspired by an article discussing scientists successfully creating a functional rat heart. However, his friends and lover perceive this as a delusional coping mechanism in response to his critical illness. Eventually, with mild reservations, everyone agrees to support Marc's decision. In the present, the doctors diligently monitor Lazarus's vital signs and serum levels in preparation for the long-awaited resurrection. Back in 2015, Charles expresses skepticism about Marc's decision to undergo the cryo procedure, citing articles about individuals who met their demise due to company negligence. Naomi intervenes with anger, questioning whether anyone would actually make the effort to thaw and revive Marc in the distant future. Despite their doubts, the determined Marc insists on proceeding, expressing his desire to avoid a fate similar to his father, who gradually succumbed to his illness. Having made his decision, Marc requests the company of his loved ones in his last moments, causing Naomi's sorrow to deepen. Afterward, Marc stands at the ocean's edge, plunging into a whirlpool and submerging himself in utter darkness, only to gradually awaken in a brilliant and radiant light. As he regains consciousness, his vision remains blurry, accompanied by enthusiastic voices calling his name. Overwhelmed by panic, Elizabeth swiftly provides Marc with an oxygen mask, while the others closely monitor his vital signs. In a brief moment, Marc catches a glimpse of his transformed reflection in the mirror. Dr. West introduces himself and inquires about Marc's physical sensations. Marc admits to feeling pain throughout his body, which the doctor recognizes as a positive sign and assures him that the pain will eventually decrease. Later, Marc discovers that his revived body is composed of cloned components, bionic implants, and advanced internal technology. To his surprise, he realizes that he is tethered to a mechanical mother through a detachable umbilical cord. Marc's reanimated body is ruined by various malfunctions in organs and bodily functions, which means additional surgeries and medications from Dr. West. Gradually adapting to his new existence, Marc undergoes the process of relearning how to walk with the assistance of doctors and a nurse. Following a leg exercise, he is led to his new room, where Marc's dreams are filled with thoughts of Naomi. On the following day, during his hand exercises, Marc inquires about the world beyond his confinement to Dr. West. Abruptly, Dr. Geathers enters the room with a device called the Mind Writer, a headgear that enables Marc to capture and document his memories, create artwork, or generate reports. The doctor encourages Marc to utilize the device to record every aspect of his existence, as the world will be eager to learn more about him, considering he is the first man to be successfully revived. Curious as to why there is an interest in learning more about him, Marc poses the question to Dr. West. The doctor clarifies that individuals paid for his revival, emphasizing the importance of his readiness to face the media. Granting him a brief moment with the device, Marc becomes overwhelmed as a flood of memories overstimulates his senses. Dr. Sarah cautions his colleagues against overexciting the patient and then departs for his office. However, Dr. West advises Marc to use the device in small doses to adjust to the sensation. The memories gradually traverse through Marc's relationships with his parents, friends, and professional accomplishments. Eventually, the focus settles on a particular woman, Naomi. In a subsequent scene, Elizabeth assists Marc with a bed bath, during which they discuss the prospect of individuals selecting their children's traits prior to birth. Curious about Elizabeth's personal life, Marc is taken aback to learn that casual, emotionless encounters have become commonplace in the current era. To his astonishment, Elizabeth even suggests the possibility of sleeping with him once he is more stable. In the middle of the night, Marc rises from bed and approaches the mirror, only to be startled by the fleeting image of an elderly man. Overwhelmed by fear, he collapses to the floor, triggering an alarm within his room. Marc fights to return to his bed, reminiscing about his agile youth. With great effort, he reaches the bed and reconnects with his cord, prompting Elizabeth to rush to his side in a panicked state. Moments later, Marc loses consciousness and finds himself immersed in a memory of driving on a freeway with Naomi and her ex-boyfriend, Steve, sharing laughter in the backseat. This memory leaves a profound impact on Marc, raising concerns that he brings up with his doctors for further discussion. During the meeting, it becomes apparent that Marc's memories are deteriorating, yet the doctors suggest he should continue using the Mind Writer device. When Marc requests a private conversation with Dr. West, he learns that due to his cancer and advancing age, the chances of fully recovering are minimal, but there is hope for gradual improvement. The physician reassures Marc, expressing that he should take pride in being at the forefront of a significant advancement in science that paves the way for a brighter future. While heading to his room, memories of a film depicting the resurrection of Lazarus by Jesus Christ flood Marc's thoughts, leading him to draw parallels between his own confusion and resentment towards his revival and that of the biblical character. Over time, Marc advances to using a treadmill for exercise. Elizabeth informs him that he will soon be jogging, as it is crucial for his new lungs to adapt to the atmospheric conditions. Their intimate moments of kissing and hugging reveal that Elizabeth holds a deeper role in Marc's life, beyond being just his nurse. She is also his partner. Elizabeth blindfolds Marc as the staff surprises him with a cake, celebrating his 100th day. They present him with a box of his pre-cryostasis belongings, and he eagerly searches through it. Among the items, he discovers a letter from Naomi. This triggers a flood of memories about their relationship, taking him back to the moment they first met. In college, Marc and Naomi had a secretive affair while Naomi was in a relationship with someone else. When Naomi ends her relationship to be with Marc, he starts dating other women, which deeply upsets Naomi. This cycle continues until Marc is diagnosed with cancer. It is at this point that Naomi confesses her love for him and decides to stay by his side until the end of his life. However, Marc makes the decision to undergo cryogenic preservation, choosing to end his life before his illness takes a toll on his body. Later that night, he allows Elizabeth to read Naomi's letter aloud to him. Through the letter, Marc discovers that Naomi had also chosen cryostasis when she was near death at the age of 50, hoping to reunite with him in the future. Upon receiving this information, Marc inquires about the whereabouts of Naomi's body and is led to a chilling sight, a room filled with frozen individuals awaiting reanimation. He discovers that the process of reviving someone is a significant investment of time and money. Marc realizes he was chosen for the procedure due to finishing his life before his disease progressed too far. Although the doctors express their commitment to investigating Naomi's case, they cannot offer a complete guarantee of her successful revival. Later on, Marc reflects on whether he made the correct choice and recollects a hazy memory of himself and Naomi on a beach. In their final argument, Naomi accuses him of being self-centered for disregarding her emotions when he chose cryostasis. Eventually, Marc requests Elizabeth to shave his hair, and while she organizes his medication, he inquires about the number of practice runs before his revival. Elizabeth's response raises ethical concerns within him regarding the scientist's moral principles. To ease his concerns, Elizabeth reassures Marc that the doctors will continue their research and find a solution for Naomi's illness in the future. She emphasizes that she has no knowledge of previous test subjects due to a confidentiality agreement. However, Marc's anxiety escalates, and the medical team assigned to him quickly recognizes the signs. Dr. Sarah alerts the others about Marc's increasing depersonalization following his encounter with Naomi. Expressing her concerns, Elizabeth voices her fear about Marc's current state of mind and suggests that he should be allowed to experience the outside world as a way to relax and unwind. However, the physicians reject her proposal, citing concerns about the readiness of his lungs and the timing being too early to expose him to the media. Elizabeth urges the doctors to be truthful with Marc about his memory loss, but Dr. Sarah is apprehensive about the potential negative impact on his condition. In the evening, Naomi tries to divert Marc's attention by tempting him into a romantic encounter. However, this encounter deepens Marc's contemplation about humanity's yearning for life after death. Marc firmly believes that people yearn for what they will lose in death. Driven by his quest for answers, Marc trespasses into Dr. West's room and acquires MindWriter chips containing data on previous test subjects. To his dismay, Marc uncovers that every patient experienced negative consequences, varying from organ malfunctions to self-inflicted harm. What shocks him greatly is the realization that he is not the initial one to awaken, but rather the first to thrive. In a proud moment, Dr. West delivers a speech, showcasing their achievement of reviving a person, and introduces Marc to a captivated audience of investors and reporters. As Lazarus comes into full view, the concept of eternal life captivates the crowd, resulting in a standing ovation. Inspired by the audience's response, Dr. West reveals the love story of Marc and Naomi, further fueling their interest. He then announces his next project, which involves reviving Naomi to reunite the two lovers once again. From a distance, Marc observes Dr. West with a mixture of disrespect and mock. Later, the two confront each other, with Marc questioning the concept of immortality and viewing himself as a monster created by the doctor. Dr. West admits that the Lazarus Project has become his life's purpose, leaving Marc to live with it indefinitely, encompassing both the positive and negative aspects, as he has nothing else to live for. Recognizing the truth in the doctor's words, Marc retreats to his bed, while Dr. West expresses regret for his inability to ease Marc's feelings of loneliness. Later, Marc reminisces about a memorable party where he openly expressed his love for Naomi, and they danced joyfully with their friends all night long. During this recollection, something dawns on Marc, prompting him to wander off to the location where Naomi's body is stored. He reflects on his previous contemplation about the soul and embraces the cryogenic chamber with a longing gaze. Eventually, Elizabeth discovers him sitting near Naomi's freezer and inquires about his well-being. Despite his claim of being fine, Marc's despondency is evident. He reveals that the period leading up to his planned death was the most fulfilling in his life, serving as his final thoughts. He admits that he embraced death as a means to escape the challenges of his illness, and undergoing cryostasis was merely a pretext. Marc now recognizes that he never truly anticipated being revived. Embracing death was the man's paramount concern, and with that fear now gone, the most fulfilling aspect of his revived life was bringing a smile to Elizabeth's face. However, Marc eventually requests Elizabeth's assistance in finishing his life, initially met with strong resistance from the nurse, but she eventually cooperates with him. In the following days, Marc diligently documents his remaining memories for the scientists. Subsequently, he sets out to find a medication recommended by his nurse. As he readies the medication, memories flood the man's mind of a similar experience from the past. Back then, Naomi stood faithfully beside him, tears falling as he instructed her on handling his body after his passing. Now, in the present, Marc ingests the medication and moves deliberately towards Naomi's cryogenic chamber, intent on finding a tranquil end. With a gentle closing of his eyes, he embraces the peace he seeks. In an instant, a brilliant light illuminates Marc's surroundings, accompanied by voices expressing gratitude for finding him in time. Dr. West acknowledges his failure to ignite Marc's desire to live and promises not to repeat the mistake. Marc's realization dawns upon him. He will be revived once more, forever denied the comfort of eternal peace. Thank you for watching our recap. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and feel free to explore our other recaps.